The days turned into weeks, and the ruins no longer felt like a prison. The girl still lived among broken stones, but now she waited for footsteps and the bark that always followed. Penny came first, wagging her tail, and then Noah arrived with food, with words, with quiet warmth. The shadows of her past were still there, but they no longer owned her. One evening, the sky burned red with sunset. Noah sat on a stone while Penny chased her tail nearby. The girl sat across from him, no longer hiding behind her blanket. Her glowing eyes were softer now, less sharp. They held something new, uncertainty mixed with hope. Noah looked at her, carefully as if weighing his words. Then he said, "You don't have to stay here forever. You don't have to sleep in the cold or hide in the dark. You could come with me." The girl froze, her breath caught. The thought of leaving her ruins twisted her chest. This place was broken, but it was safe. It was all she knew. "I can't," she whispered, shaking her head. "People, they hate me." Noah leaned forward slightly, his voice steady. "Not everyone, not me." Penny barked as if agreeing, running over and nudging the girl's knee with her wet nose. The girl pressed her trembling hand against the pup's head. Her eyes watered. She wanted to believe him, but fear clung to her like chains. "What if they hurt me again?" she asked. Her voice cracked. Noah shook his head. "Then I'll stand with you. You won't face them alone." The words struck her heart. She lowered her gaze, hiding her, tears behind her hair. All her life she had been told she was cursed, unwanted. But here was someone who refused to let her believe it. She hugged Penny close, her body shaking. That night, she could not sleep. She lay awake staring at the lantern Noah had given her. Its soft glow lit the ruins gently. She whispered to herself again and again, "Not alone. Not alone." The words were strange, but they wrapped around her heart like a blanket warmer than any cloth. When dawn came, she stood at the edge of the ruins. Her blanket around her shoulders, Penny wagged her tail beside her. Noah waited quietly, his hand stretched out, not forcing, not pulling, just waiting. The girl's legs trembled. Every part of her wanted to turn back, to run into the shadows. But her heart told her to take the step. Slowly, she reached out her hand. Her thin fingers touched his. His grip was gentle, steady. He smiled, and together they walked down the broken street, Penny bouncing happily between them. The ruins faded behind her with each step. The days that followed were not easy. People stared, some whispered, some pointed. The girl clutched her blanket tighter, ready for stones, ready for cruel words. But none came, because Noah stood beside her, and Penny barked at anyone who dared step too close. At Noah's small home, she found things she had forgotten: warm food, a roof without holes, a fire that gave heat without smoke. At first she could not sleep on the bed he offered. She curled in the corner instead, but Noah never pushed. He only left the lantern by her side, and slowly she learned to rest without fear. One evening, she sat on the floor with Penny's head resting on her lap. Noah placed a cup of warm broth. In her hands, the glow of the fire lit their faces. She looked at them. Boy, pup. And her, and something deep inside her shifted. Her chest filled with warmth she did not have words for. Her glowing eyes shimmered. Tears slipped down her cheeks. For years she had believed she was cursed to walk alone, but now she understood. Family was not always blood. Family was those who stayed, those who gave light, those who refused to let her break. She whispered softly, more to herself than to them, "I'm not alone anymore." Noah heard her, but he did not say anything. He only smiled and placed another log on the fire. Penny barked happily in her lap, and the girl leaned back, letting the warmth of her new family surround her. The walls she had built for years had finally crumbled, and in their place she found something stronger, something brighter, a new beginning, a new family. The next morning, the village woke to find the human still there. He had come in the night with little sound, only the steady rhythm of his boots on the ground and the soft panting of the puppy at his side. The villagers had whispered in fear. watching from their doorways, wondering why a man of Earth would wander into their forgotten place. Humans did not come here, not anymore. He sat near the old well, a quiet figure in worn clothes. His coat was patched, his boots dusty, but his eyes held a strange light, calm yet sharp. He carried no weapon except a knife at his belt, and even that looked more like a tool than a blade of war. His presence made the villagers uneasy, but he did not threaten them. He simply asked for water, and when they refused, he smiled and pulled his own flask, as if kindness mattered more than their coldness. Children peeked from behind broken walls. Their voices hushed. They had never seen a human so close. They pointed at the puppy, laughing when it barked and rolled in the dirt. But when their mothers dragged them back inside, the laughter died. The villagers remembered the orphan girl, how she had stared at the man in the square, and they feared something dangerous might begin. The man's name was Elias, though no one asked. He was used to silence. His journeys had taken him far across ruined worlds, through burned skies and shattered cities. He carried the dust of many places on his boots, and stories too heavy for most ears. Yet here, in this small village of suspicion and broken hearts, he felt something stir, something different. Elias noticed her again that morning, the girl in the shadows. She thought she was hidden behind the cracked wall of her ruined house, but his eyes caught the faint glow of her scars. He pretended not to notice, sitting with his back to her, breaking bread slowly, tossing crumbs to the puppy. The little creature wagged its tail and chased the crumbs, barking as if the world was still whole. The girl's eyes followed every movement. Her stomach twisted, for the bread she had stolen yesterday was already gone. She had eaten it quickly in the dark. Every sound the puppy made pulled her closer. Every laugh from the children reminded her of a life she had lost. But when Elias turned his head, she vanished, melting back into her shadow world. By midday, Elias spoke to the villagers. He asked about the girl directly, his voice calm, his words simple. "Who is she?" he said. "Why does she live alone?" The villagers stiffened, their faces dark. They told him she was cursed. They told him she brought bad luck. They told him she carried the ghosts of the dead. It was better to let her fade in the ruins, better not to touch her world. But Elias only nodded. His eyes held no fear. He had seen curses before. He had seen wars that turned saints into demons. He did not believe in ghosts carried by children. He believed in pain, and pain he recognized in her hollow stare. When the sun dipped low again, Elias walked towards the broken house. The villagers hissed behind him, warning him not to. Some shouted that the girl would poison his heart. Others whispered he would not return, but he did not stop. The puppy padded beside him, its ears twitching with excitement. The girl saw him coming long before he reached her shelter. Her breath quickened. She crouched low, clutching the broken wall. Her heart screamed, "Run," but her feet would not move. Fear and hunger tied her to the ground. The puppy barked happily, wagging its tail at the sight of her. Elias stopped a few steps away. He did not push closer. He sat down on a broken stone, letting the dust rise around him. His voice was steady, slow. "I will not hurt you," he said. "This is your place. I only sit here because the sun is warm." The girl narrowed her eyes. Her hands trembled. She pulled her thin arms around herself, pressing against her ribs. She had heard such words before, soft words that turned sharp, promises that broke into pain. She did not trust him, she could not trust him. Elias reached into his pack. His movements slow, deliberate. From within he pulled another piece of bread. Not stale, but fresh. The scent drifted through the air, warm and strange. He broke it in half, placing one half on the ground between them. Then he leaned back, chewing on his own piece, showing he asked nothing, giving everything. The girl stared. Her throat tightened. She wanted it, but fear froze her legs. The puppy nudged the bread with its nose, then sat down beside it, wagging its tail as if to say, "It is safe. It is yours." The girl took one small step forward, then another. Her bare feet silent on the dust, she reached out, grabbed the bread, and darted back into the shadows. Elias smiled faintly. He had won nothing, but he had not lost either. He had given her a choice, and she had taken it. That was enough. For tonight, that was enough. From the windows of their broken homes, the villagers watched. Their fear deepened. Their whispers grew louder. He feeds her, they said. He protects her. And in their fear lay the seeds of anger. The human was not only a stranger now, he was a threat to the order they had built on silence and suspicion. But Elias paid them no mind. His gaze rested on the shadows where the girl had vanished. His hand scratched the puppy's ear, his voice soft. "We will try again tomorrow." In the darkness of her ruined home, the girl bit into the bread. The taste was warm, filling, different from scraps. Tears rolled down her cheeks without warning. Her hands shook, but she did not let go. For the first time in years, she ate not what she had stolen, but what she had been given, and far away. In the quiet corners of her heart, something cracked, not fully, but just enough for light to touch. The third day began with a stillness that seemed to hold its breath. The sun rose slow behind cracked hills, and the village came alive with murmurs of work. Children carried buckets, women mended nets, men sharpened tools, but their eyes still wandered always toward the stranger and his little companion. Elias sat on a low stone wall, his coat pulled tight against the morning chill. Beside him, the puppy tumbled in the dirt, chasing its own tail. Its soft barks carried through the air, breaking the silence that had weighed on the village for so long. To some, the sound was pleasant, to others it was a curse. They did not like how it echoed near the orphan girl's broken house, inside those ruined walls. The girl crouched, her thin arms wrapped around her knees. Her ears caught every bark. Her heart thudded in her chest. She remembered the warmth of fur against her skin, the way the creature had licked her hand, as if she mattered. No one had ever touched her with such innocence, and the memory would not leave her. Elias knew she was listening. He spoke softly as if to himself, tossing crumbs from a loaf into the dirt for the puppy to snatch. "Hungry again, little one," he said. "Always hungry, always moving. Maybe that is how life keeps going." His voice was steady, gentle, never sharp. He did not look toward the shadows, but his words carried. The girl pressed her forehead against the stone, torn between fear and hunger. Her stomach ached. She still had crumbs from the bread he had given yesterday, but they were gone now, and the scent of food drifted toward her again. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She had not spoken in years. Words felt like broken glass in her throat. Then the puppy wandered close to her wall. Its ears twitched, nose sniffing. It barked once, a small, cheerful sound, and squeezed through a gap in the stone. The girl gasped. Her hands shot out, ready to push it away. But the creature only wagged its tail, eyes bright as if she were the best treasure in the world. It pawed at her bare feet, then licked them. She flinched, but did not pull back. A small sound escaped her lips, not quite a word, but something soft. The puppy barked again as if answering. It spun in circles, then jumped into her lap, warm and alive. Her thin hands hovered in the air, trembling. She wanted to push it off. She wanted to keep the wall around her heart, but the warmth was too much. Slowly, her fingers touched the soft fur. The puppy nuzzled, closer, licking her chin. Her eyes widened, then filled with tears she could not stop. She made another sound, broken, almost a laugh, almost a sob. Elias heard it. His eyes lifted toward the ruined house. He did not rise, he did not rush. He only waited. His lips curved into the faintest smile. He knew the walls of fear were cracking, not all at once, but piece by piece. The villagers saw too. Their whispers turned sharp. "He is dangerous," they said. "The cursed girl will spread her shadow to him, and then to us." Some muttered that they should chase him away. Others spoke of sealing the girl in her ruins for good. Their fear grew as quickly as the girl's heart began to stir. The girl pressed her face into the puppy's fur. She did not understand why this creature made her chest ache, why it made her want to speak. Her lips moved. The word caught on her tongue. She whispered it, soft and hoarse. "Warm." The puppy barked again, tail wagging. Elias closed his eyes. For a moment he had heard it, the first word, small but real. It was not meant for him, it was meant for the little companion. But it was enough. The silence she had carried for years had been broken. When the puppy finally wriggled free, it bounded back through the gap toward Elias, carrying the girl's scent with it. Elias patted its head, speaking low. "Good work, little one. Walls are strong, but love is stronger." That night the girl dreamed differently. She no longer dreamed only of fire and screams. She dreamed of fur and soft barks, of laughter she almost remembered. She woke with tears on her cheeks, but they were lighter than before, not heavy with pain. Elias lay beneath the stars. The puppy curled against his side. He thought of the girl's eyes, the way fear still held her, but not as tightly. He thought of the villagers, how their stares grew colder. He knew danger brewed, not from the girl but from those around her. Still he did not leave. His heart had chosen its path, and he would follow it. In the shadows of her broken home, the girl touched her lips where a word had escaped. She whispered again, almost to herself, "Warm." The sound echoed against the stone, fragile but alive. For the first time in years, her voice belonged not to fear, but to hope. The days passed slowly, and each morning the village awoke to the same sight. The human sat near the well or on a broken wall, the puppy running circles around him. The villagers whispered, some with anger, some with fear. But the man never raised his voice, never lifted his hand. He only waited, as if patience was his weapon. Inside her ruined house, the orphan girl watched. Hunger still pressed her stomach, but something stronger began to stir. The memory of warmth would not leave her, the touch of fur, the sound of a bark, and the strange way her voice had slipped out when she had whispered the word warm. She sat in the dark, repeating it under her breath, afraid, yet fascinated. It was like a tiny flame lit in the ashes of her heart. Elias knew. He saw it. In her eyes when she peeked from the cracks, he saw the change, the slow softening. The walls she had built around herself for years were not gone, but they were no longer unbreakable. He did not push. He did not rush. He let the puppy lead the way. One afternoon, the puppy carried something into her shelter. Elias had placed a scrap of cloth in its mouth and it bounded forward with pride, tail wagging. The girl frowned at first, suspicious, but when the little creature dropped the cloth at her feet, she touched it with shaking fingers. It was warm, clean, and smelled faintly of bread. She pressed it to her face, closing her eyes. A strange comfort filled her chest. For the first time, she stepped out from her ruined wall while the sun still hung in the sky. She did not walk far, only a few steps, but her bare feet touched the dust where the villagers could see her. A gasp rose from the square. Mothers pulled children close. Men whispered curses. Elias only looked up and gave the faintest nod as if to say, "I see you." The girl froze when she noticed the eyes of the crowd. Fear rushed back. Her heart raced. She turned as if to run. But the puppy barked and darted in circles around her feet. It tugged at her cloth, urging her to stay. Her legs shook, yet she did not flee. Elias stood then, slow and steady. He picked up a piece of bread from his pack, breaking it in half. He placed one half on the wall between them, then stepped back, his voice calm. "It is yours if you want it." The girl stared at the bread. Her lips trembled. She felt the weight of the villagers' stares like stones pressing on her back. They muttered about curses, about shadows, about doom. But the puppy barked again, pressing its nose against her hand. Urging her, she closed her eyes, took a breath, and stepped forward. Her hand shook as she picked up the bread. The moment her fingers touched it, the whispers grew louder, but Elias did not move. He watched her take a bite, small, careful, but real. The taste filled her with warmth again. For the first time, she ate in the open, not hiding, not stealing, not running. The villagers grew restless. "He is changing her," they hissed. "He will bring ruin to us all." Their fear grew sharp, but Elias ignored them. His eyes stayed on the girl, who stood trembling yet did not vanish. That night, she sat in her shelter with the puppy curled beside her. She stroked its fur clumsily, her fingers unused to gentleness. "Soft," she whispered. The word felt strange, but it did not hurt. Her lips curved into the smallest smile. Elias, lying beneath the stars, heard the word carried faintly on the wind. He closed his eyes. A crack had opened in the wall of silence. Around her, not wide, but wide enough for hope to slip through. The next morning she came again, just a step outside her wall, her eyes lowered, her hands clutching the cloth. The puppy bounded around her, yipping with joy. Elias did not call her. He did not speak. He only placed bread on the wall. She took it slower now, calmer. When she whispered another word, "Thank," broken and incomplete. Elias felt his chest tighten. He wanted to speak back, to tell her she was safe, but he held his silence, letting the moment belong to her. The villagers saw everything. Their whispers grew dark. Some spoke of driving both the human and the girl away. They feared what they could not understand, but Elias knew he could not stop now. The walls were breaking, and behind them lived a heart that still beat, a child who still deserved life. That evening, the girl sat with the puppy in her lap. She whispered soft words, broken sounds, not full sentences, but pieces of a voice long buried. The puppy barked each time as if it understood. Her laughter, soft and shaky, slipped into the air. For the first time in years, the shadows of her ruined house felt less heavy. The cracks in her walls grew wider and light began to pour through. The girl's world was changing piece by piece. Each day she stepped a little farther from her ruined shelter. Each day she whispered more words. Her voice, once silent like stone, now trembled in the air like fragile glass. Elias never pushed. He only offered food, small smiles, and patience. The puppy did the rest, breaking down her fear with playful barks and endless warmth. But where light entered, shadows still lived. And one night, those shadows returned stronger than ever. She slept curled against the puppy, its soft fur pressed to her cheek. Her dreams began sweet, a meadow from long ago, her mother's arms around her, a voice singing in the language of her people. For a moment she felt whole again, but the meadow burned. The sky split apart, ships screamed overhead, fire rained down. Her parents ran, holding her hand, shouting words she could not remember. And then, silence. The dream broke into screams. Her small body twisted on the cold floor. She cried, out, her voice shaking the walls. The puppy whimpered, pawing at her face. Elias rushed in. His boots heavy on the dust, he saw her thrashing, her hands clawing at invisible flames, and he knelt beside her. "Wake, girl, wake," he said softly. His hands stayed steady. He did not grab her. He only spoke, his voice calm as stone. The puppy barked sharply, licking her face until her eyes snapped open. She sat up, shaking, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her chest heaved. Her hands clawed at her thin arms, muttering broken words. Fire, gone, lost. Elias looked at her, his eyes steady. "I know," he whispered. "I have seen it too." For a moment she stared at him, her eyes wide. Then she shoved the puppy aside and pushed herself into the corner, curling tight. Her voice rose into a hoarse cry. "No, no, no." She pressed her hands to her ears, rocking. The puppy whimpered, circling her feet. Elias did not move closer. He sat where he was, letting her storm break. The villagers outside heard her cries. Their whispers sharpened. "She is cursed," they said. "The human feeds her curse. It will spread to us. We must act before it is too late." Their fear grew heavier with each passing night. When morning came, the girl sat silent in her ruin, her eyes swollen from tears. Elias placed bread at the edge of her wall, but she did not take it. The puppy nudged her hand, but she turned away. The light that had begun to grow seemed to fade again. That day, Elias walked into the hills, beyond the village. He climbed to a high rock and sat alone with the puppy, his mind heavy. He remembered other children, other worlds burned by war. He had seen them cower, had seen them break, but he had also seen them rise. He knew this girl carried not a curse, but a wound too deep to heal in silence. When he returned, the villagers gathered. "Leave her," they demanded. "Leave her to her shadows. She will bring ruin." Elias stood tall, his eyes cold. "She is a child," he said. "She carries pain, not evil. Shame on those who would turn away." The villagers muttered, but none dared face him directly. That evening, Elias sat outside the girl's ruined home, his voice low, steady. He told a story not of her, but of himself. He spoke of a city he once called home, of the night it burned, of the screams he still carried. "I lost them," he whispered. "All of them. I thought I was the last, and I lived in silence too. But silence does not heal. It only buries, until you drown." The girl listened. Though she did not move, her eyes wet again, her lips trembled. The puppy pushed against her side, wagging its tail as if urging her to speak. Finally she whispered, soft and broken, "Mother, father gone." Elias's chest tightened. He nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "Gone, but you are still here. You breathe. You see. You feel. That means you still live. That means you can still choose." She looked at him through her tears, her walls shaking, her scars glowing faintly in the dim light. She wanted to scream, to run, but also to stay. Something inside her cracked again, not from fear this time, but from release. She reached for the puppy, pulling it close. Her voice shook, but words spilled out. "They left me. I am nothing." Elias's reply was calm. "You are not nothing. You are more than what you lost. You are what you keep alive inside you and what you will choose tomorrow." Her breath came uneven, her eyes closed. She leaned into the puppy, its warmth steady, its heartbeat strong. For the first time she did not cry alone, but beyond the ruined walls the villagers gathered in darker whispers. Their fear now turned to anger. The human was changing her, breaking her silence, giving her strength. They did not see hope. They only saw danger. They would not stay silent much longer. The village square grew tense as the days passed. The whispers about the orphan girl turned into open talk. The people gathered at night, their voices sharp. "She is cursed," one said. "Her scars glow in the dark." Another muttered, "The human feeds her, protects her. If we do nothing, we will all suffer." Fear made them cruel, and cruelty grew into plans. Elias knew it was coming. He had seen the looks, the way doors slammed when he passed, the way mothers pulled their children close. He was used to being an outsider, but he would not let them harm the girl. He had promised her safety, even if she had never asked for it. The girl felt the change too. She peeked from her ruined walls and saw the stairs. She heard the angry words. Her heart pounded with old fear, and she pressed herself against the puppy for comfort. Her voice trembled when she whispered, "They hate me." Elias, sitting outside her home, shook his head. "No, they fear you. Fear is loud, but it is not truth." One evening, as the twin moons rose, the villagers came together. Torches lit their faces with angry light. They marched toward the broken house where the girl hid. Elias stood in their path. The puppy growled at their feet, small but brave. The villagers stopped only a few steps away. "Move, human," one man shouted. "This is not your fight." Elias's voice was steady, firm as stone. "It is my fight because it is her life. You call her cursed. But she is only a child." The crowd murmured, anger and fear twisting together. An elder woman stepped forward, her eyes hard. "We have lived in shadows since the fire. Her presence brings bad luck. We will not risk more." Elias lifted his chin. His hand rested on the hilt of his knife, but he did not draw it. His words carried instead. "You blame her because it is easy. You call her cursed because you are afraid. But I have seen true curses. I have seen monsters born of hate, and she is not one of them. She is only broken, and broken things can be healed." The villagers shifted uneasily. Some looked away. Their fear wavered under his calm defiance, but others grew louder. "She does not belong," a voice cried. "If you protect her, you will share her curse. Elias stepped forward. His shadow stretched long in the torchlight. His eyes burned with quiet fire. "Then let it be mine," he said. "If you cast her out, you cast me out too. If you call her cursed, then curse me with her. I will not leave her to face this alone." The silence that followed was heavy. The puppy barked once, sharp and clear, as if to seal the words. The girl, hiding just behind the wall, heard every word. Her breath caught, her eyes widened. No one had ever stood for her before, no one had ever chosen her side. She pressed her hand against her chest where her heart raced faster than ever. The villagers muttered among themselves. Some turned their torches away, unwilling to face the human's gaze. The elder woman spat on the ground. "You are a fool," she hissed. "She will bring you nothing but ruin." Elias did not flinch. "Maybe," he said, "but ruin is not as heavy as regret." "I will not regret saving a child." Slowly the crowd dispersed, torches dimmed, whispers fading into the night. The battle was not over, but for now the girl was safe. Elias exhaled deeply, his shoulders easing. He turned to the ruined wall. His voice soft. "It is all right, they will not harm you tonight." The girl stepped out slowly, trembling. The puppy bounded to her, licking her hand. She looked at Elias, her eyes wet with tears, her lips parted, words spilling like fragile glass. "Why? Why protect me?" Elias knelt, his eyes steady on hers. "Because you deserve more than fear. You deserve to live." Her tears spilled. She fell to her knees, clutching the puppy close. Her voice cracked, but she whispered, "I live." Elias placed his hand gently on her shoulder, the first human touch she had not feared in years. She flinched at first, then stayed, trembling, but rooted. The wall around her heart cracked wider than ever before. That night she did not sleep in her ruined shelter alone. Elias built a small fire outside. The puppy curled between them. The flames cast warm light on her face, and for the first time she closed her eyes, not in fear, but in fragile peace. Far, away, in the shadows of the village, angry eyes still watched. Their whispers did not end, but in that small circle of firelight, Elias and the girl and the puppy formed something new, something the villagers could not break with fear. A family's shape was beginning, born not of blood but of choice. The night after the confrontation was quiet. The village slept uneasy, their fear still alive. But no one dared to rise against the human. Elias sat awake by the fire, his eyes fixed on the shadows where the girl rested. The puppy lay curled, between them, breathing soft and steady. The girl stirred, waking slowly. For once she did not wake with a scream. She blinked at the firelight and then at Elias. Her lips parted and she whispered a word. "Safe." The sound was fragile but steady. Elias smiled faintly, nodding. "Yes," he said. "Safe." The girl had lived her whole life behind broken walls, hiding from the world. But now the world had shifted. The puppy had shown her warmth. Elias had given her protection, and her voice had begun to return piece by piece. She was stepping out of her shadows. At dawn, she did something no one expected. She walked to the well in the square. Her steps were small, shaky, but real. The villagers gasped, pulling their children back. Elias walked beside her, his hand steady at her back. The puppy barked happily, leaping ahead. She carried the piece of cloth Elias had given her days before, pressed close to her chest like a shield. She bent and pulled a bucket of water. Her thin arms trembled, but she did not run. She drank in front of them, water dripping down her chin. Her eyes lifted, meeting the stares of the villagers for the first time. She did not look away. The whispers grew, but they were not as sharp as before. Some villagers frowned, others turned away, but a few looked uncertain. The elder woman muttered curses under her breath, yet a young boy tugged at his mother's sleeve. "She is not scary," he whispered. "She has a puppy." The mother hushed him quickly, but the words spread like a spark. That evening, Elias and the girl sat by their fire again. The puppy chewed on a stick, barking each time it snapped. The girl laughed, soft and broken, but true. Elias listened, letting the sound fill the night. He had waited long to hear it. Her words came, slower but stronger each day. Soft, when she stroked the puppy's fur. Light, when she looked at the fire. Safe, when she looked at Elias. Each word was like a stone laid down, building something new inside her, something stronger than fear, but memories still lingered. At night she still dreamed of fire, of loss. Yet now she woke not in silence but with the puppy licking her face, with Elias's calm voice reminding her she was not alone. Slowly, the weight of her past became something she could carry, not something that crushed her. One night she whispered another word, different from the rest. Her eyes lowered, her voice shaking. Family. Elias froze. His chest tightened. He looked at her, the firelight glowing on her scarred skin, her eyes wide and uncertain. She did not know if she had said the right thing. She only knew the word had slipped out from her heart. Elias reached out, placing his hand gently over hers. Yes, he said, his voice thick. Family. The puppy barked loudly as if to agree, wagging its tail until it nearly fell over. From then, something shifted even more. She no longer hid in her ruins. She began to walk with Elias through the village paths. The villagers still whispered, still feared, but some softened. Children followed the puppy, laughing. One brave girl even touched the orphan's hand, and the orphan did not pull away. Elias watched these moments, his heart steady. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. The villagers might never fully accept her. Danger might come again from beyond the stars. But what mattered was here and now. The girl was no longer only a shadow. She was becoming herself again. The final crack in her walls came one night when the wind was cold and the stars were bright. She sat close to Elias, the puppy curled in her lap. Her voice was soft, trembling but clear. My name, she whispered, is Lyra. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. The name hung in the air, fragile and powerful. She had given it back to herself. After years of silence, she had reclaimed who she was. He smiled. Lyra, he repeated. A strong name, a living name. She looked at him, her lips curving into a true smile. Her scars glowed faintly, not as marks of fear, but as signs of survival. She leaned against Elias's side, whispering again, family. And in that circle of firelight beneath the wide stars, a human, an orphaned alien girl, and a small puppy sat together, not as strangers, not as broken pieces, but as something whole. Family born not of blood but of choice.